Karen Jordan.
I'm going to break the fourth wall a little bit over here, but thank you so much for being here. It's very special. Really, thank you. In Turkish it's called teşekkür ederim. In Urdu it's called shukriya. So I'm from both. So my story begins in the spring of 1991. I'm at St. John's University. I'm a senior. And I got there through many trials and tribulations, which is captured on the TEDx video. So I urge you to have a good laugh and maybe watch it. So I had been estranged from my father for a fair amount of time. And in the March of 1991, he passed away in a bus accident on the border of Iran and Pakistan. So I got the call at 8 p.m. and it was my father's business partner from Pakistan who called me. And I got the news, and the world sort of shatters. Molecules split, the atom becomes indivisible, your heart is on the floor. And it just so happened that my very, very, very close friend, Louise, happened to be there. And he cradles my head in his hands because I'd fallen on the ground. And Louise is a Brazilian. An angel on this planet, if there ever was one. And in his heavy Portuguese accent in English, he says, Karen, you have to go to a very quiet place. You have to go to the church. The church at St. John's University, which is the largest Benedictine university in the United States, is this marvel of creation by the architect Marcel Gore. If you happen to go, I urge you to go. This church is like a spaceship. If you go inside the church and you turn around, behind you is this massive, massive window of mosaic. So on a beautiful, beautiful day, the light will come, reflect into a zillion pieces, and sort of bathe you in color. In the middle of the church is the altar. And the way the church is designed, the light comes right from the top, right onto the altar. It just so happened that I vacuumed the church for a handful of years because of a housekeeping job I had. I used to clean the bathrooms and the refectory and the monastery, and I vacuumed the church. So a familiar place. So I bust the doors open. I come into the church. I sit on the pew. And I'm sobbing my eyes out because I'm sitting in the shadow. And while I'm there, I hear somebody shuffling in. It happened to be Father Rene. Father Rene I had known for 3 years because he taught philosophy, and I'd taken his classes, many of his classes. Kind, gentle man, white silvery hair, piercing blue eyes. And he sits up next to me, and I have no idea why is he here, how did he come here, how did he find out, how? And he says, how are you doing? Are you okay? I said, I'm shattered. And so he says, well, you're in the house of God, and he'll glue you together. I'm like, glue me together. I said, I need to pray to Allah. And he says, well, this is your house. Pray. And so we prayed together. Now, the interesting thing is, Father Rene and I had a connection. When we were praying, the light is from the altar, we sort of gave him this light, and Father Rene always had this light on. In fact, his nickname was the light. And the reason there was this connection because he was a world-renowned expert in Tolstoy. He was. He also happened to be a world-renowned expert in Heidegger and Nietzsche. So when he used to have class with him, especially the Tolstoy classes, he used to look at the sort of the vista. So in those old is coming from the top of the window. He always had his desk here, a little chair. Always used to put his foot on the chair. He used to put up his pant legs like that too. Just like that. And the light is coming in, and his favorite book was Anna Karenina. So in the Anna Karenina class, I remember vividly, he just looking away, and by memory, he recites the last 2 paragraphs, which I don't have in my memory, so I'm going to read it out to you. And the reason is because there's a sort of this communion that happens. There's a sort of this gathering togetherness. The hand that never leaves is always together, just like when we pray together when my father passed away. So this is how he reads it. He says, "In its stead, under a new clear light, he saw not emptiness, but the faint sure outlines of a new life taking form. Leavenworth, I must live for myself and the good that is within reach." When he reads that, he goes, "Within reach." The light is there. We're all that go out of the light. He goes like that. And he looks around and says, "And though the great meaning of life still eluded him, it no longer seemed a mystery to be solved. Life itself had revealed not to reason, but to being." He looks for it. Being. He understood now that he would never know the ultimate meaning of life. He could live it, could serve the goodness he found within himself, and in doing so he was at peace. He remembered, when had he not known why he lived, he had longed for death. Now, understanding life through living and loving, he could no longer wish to end it. End it. Now the light is coming, refracting off of his silver white hair on all of us. I sort of bathe in this light, this revelation. There is insight, there is this communion. I'll never forget that, ever. So years pass, and we were always in touch. Always. Emails, calls, notes, texts, and we have a conversation. The conversation is always about life. Movies, art, books, things that matter. He always asks about my wife. He always asks about my kids. Always. And he always asks, what am I doing? And on those days when it sort of gets frustrating and you're sort of jammed up into yourself and you say, I'm just doing, and you're frustrated, he once said to me, Karen, you know Hercules, he had to shovel shit from a stable of horses. And the only way he solved that problem was he had to divert 2 rivers to wash it away. 2, so don't complain. So he made you digest revelation, he made you eat it, live it, breathe it. The interesting thing about all of that conversation is this Muslim, over all those years, starts to absorb certain things that are really important in the environment of those conversations in St. John's. Reflection, meditation, the dignity of work, hospitality, stewardship, stability, peace, the ability to bend the arc of your own life, a certain centeredness. Those are Benedictine values. It is now the fall of 2022, and the man that I and 2 of my very close friends, Vishal Miller and Pat Costello, the light, we 3 of us know the light, is very, very sick. So I gather up and I go visit him at the Abbey. And I find him alert. And I visit him and he says, I've got 90 minutes. Because after that I started nodding off. So okay, I got 90 minutes. And he says he's reading Viktor Frankl's The Meaning of Life book again. He's probably read it probably a zillion times. He's reading it again, so I said, well, myself how to get grace and give grace, receive grace. I said, all right. So we talk. I mentioned to him that, I've been listening to Albinoni's Adagio in G minor, and he says that's a good thing. I tell him about how I, every once in a while, will read Tolstoy's, he laughs. That's a good thing. I say I've got all his notes, all of them, at my box, in my archival box at home. And he laughs, he says, wow. But the thing is, when he laughs, it's like the ocean levels rise. Just this pure laugh. It's as if God is up. So then we start talking about, life and kids. And in the middle of it, he says, Karen, you're an honorary Benedict. I've bestowed upon you the honorary Benedictine mantle. And I say, can you? He says, I can. I'm Father Rene McGraw. And he says, it's a good thing that a Muslim is an honorary Benedictine also because it's good for the world. And he just laughs. Just laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs. So I mentioned to him, I'm, rereading Heidegger. And as I'm telling him that, he starts nodding off. He says, I'm 90 minutes, Karen, I'm not starting to nod off. So I wheel him, he was in a wheelchair, so I wheel him to the lobby, and I call the elevator. I hug him. And I kiss him on the top of his head. And I say, I love you. And he says, I love you, Karen. And he laughs. And I laugh with him. And so I get down the elevator. There's a lake on St. John's University. And I sit on the bench, have a good cry as I'm thinking of all the books I read. Tolstoy, Nietzsche, Heidegger, Marquez. I'm thinking of all the movies. And then I get in the car. And as I'm driving back, I say, so there's a Quranic verse, Ayatul Kursi. And so the thing is, if you have a pure intention, repeat the verse 3 times, it's 4 verses, repeat it 3 times, it's as if you're reading the Holy Quran. And that's something on a very, very good day we tend to do. So the verse goes like this, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad lahu kufuwan ahad. And it's about how there is no separation between you and God. And there's an absoluteness of God. And all will be revealed to you. So I recited that verse 3 times. And then I drove back. The thing is, Father Rene's love for me was pure. Absolutely pure. It will never be repeated. It will never happen again. But the thing is, it is in that love that there was all this conversation. There was no agenda except to have the conversation between a Benedictine monk and a Muslim boy. A conversation between the universe and the student and the teacher. And both of us trying to find just this communion. So I wish to all of you have a good conversation. May all your conversations